So this is the LearningRx learning model. And so what we're looking at here is the 7 underlying cognitive skills that contribute to learning, to how we process information that we receive in the world. And so you can see right here, information comes in, input, information goes out, output. And so when those underlying cognitive skills are working really, really well, then we get lots of information that lands in our knowledge bank. Another way to think about it is right here, these underlying cognitive skills are fluid intelligence. And right here, what lands in our knowledge bank, like that little file cabinet, that's crystallized intelligence. And so here's a great little example to help you understand. These first 3 skills that you see in green, those are the automatic processes. So if I asked you to spell your first name, you wouldn't even flinch. You could just rattle it off, and you would be accessing these 3 cognitive skills. Literally, like those parts of your brain will light up. Those cognitive skills are being accessed. And so attention, you'd have to pay attention. What question did she ask? Oh yeah, spell my name. And then working memory, you'd have to hold on to that question for more than, a millisecond so that you could respond to it. And then processing speed, that would kick in so that you weren't just going really, really slowly. T-E, right, you would go fast. You just rattle it off. So those are super easy. Now, if I asked you something harder, I would like you to spell the name of our first president backwards. Most people go, oh, or they make a face, or they kind of move their head. There's generally like some physiological response because you're shifting into higher thinking in the brain. And that's harder. It's like using a different muscle, a harder muscle. It's like going like this as opposed to like lifting a weight with your arm. That's a harder muscle to use. And so these higher thinking processes would really click in. They would light up in your brain as you're thinking about spelling backwards the name of our first president. And so right away, even speaking it, I have to like really concentrate. I'm thinking logic and reasoning. How am I even going to ask that question? How are you going to answer that question? How are you going to get to that answer? Long-term memory is going to kick in because who is that first president anyway? Who is it? Franklin? I don't know. Who is it? So you have to really remember. And then auditory and visual processing. Those are skills that contribute to everything about language, reading, writing, spelling, even following conversations, social interactions when you're following conversations. And so for most people, those 2 parts of the brain are going to kick in because for most people, you're going to envision it. You're going to envision that name forward, and then you're going to start looking at each letter backwards and kind of sounding it out, saying each letter backwards. So Washington, that's what it would be. So you'd be going N-O, yeah, you don't have to do it. You get the gist. So quick automatic processes, higher thinking processes. If there is a breakdown in any of those cognitive skills, there's a breakdown in what's going into your knowledge bank. It makes things so much harder, not just academic learning, but even just confidence, coping with information you get from the world. It makes everything in life harder. Think about processing speed. If that's really, really slow, in conversation, you're going to be slow to answer. You're not going to be able to follow what's going on. Auditory and visual processing. If there's a breakdown in those areas, there's probably reading problems, spelling problems, reading comprehension, maybe even conversational problems. Memory, we can all think of what happens when you have struggles with memory. So these are so, so vital that we have those cognitive processes strong, working together well so that we can learn, we can process the world, we can live an abundant life.